We are joined here today with our guest Martin
Bayerle.
Bayerle. Yeah, I don't know why I can't say it, but I'm trying. So he's from a TV show called Billion Dollar Wreck on History Channel, right?
Yeah, it was on History Channel. We were just having a discussion with Kohler in his interview, and I was wondering how many people are watching right now.
We're at 9.
Oh, only 9. Oh shit, he beat me again.
Well, we've only been on for a second, so give it a minute. We'll get some more viewers.
It'll gain momentum, but I guess no. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, Bender, I think we need to, before we get started here, just bullshitting. We need to read our disclaimer.
All right, Bender. Before you do that, you're going to upload this to YouTube when it's finished too.
It's broadcasting live right now to YouTube as well.
Oh, excellent!
It'll be saved live on there.
Perfect.
Yep.
So the opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Double Action Dive Charters, Diver and Scuba, B. Larson Metalworks, Fully Tech Marine, Fully Tech Charters, and Fully Tech Mechanical, or anyone who may employ or terminate the employment of Bob Larson or myself. All names, places, and situations are purely fictitious. Anything that may sound familiar is purely coincidental. There may be some colorful language during this, so it's time to send the kids off to bed. Unless, of course, you're in California, in which case you're a shitty parent. Your kids aren't going to turn out anyways. Viewer discretion is advised. Bob,
This is my after dinner drink, so it's just Bailey's and coffee. We eat late in Miami, so.
Well, it looks like you started off with, we know what you're drinking. Apparently, everybody, Martin has seen
Before we get started, typically, it's Miami. Typically, it's just like a Captain and Coke. I order those drinks that has Captain in it. Miami, it's Cuba Libre, Captain, which is Coke, basically rum and Coke, and of course mojitos are my standard. And if you want something unusual, and I guarantee I've had something more unusual than either of you two. Probably this is a current bottle of Moet and Chandon. In 1987, we hit the wine locker on Republic, and I am only one of 2 people alive that's had 1898 Moet. We decorked the bottle in 87. My cook and I said, we're not going to let it go to waste. The cork came out, the mist came out. There was an effervescence, and I'm sure, at this point, champagne's typically vintage champagne, no more than 10 or 20 years. So we were drinking at the time 75-year-old Moet. So I know I'm only one of 2 people alive. No one else wanted to sample. We had a lot of beers. We had cases of beers for the Atlantic Fleet. The wines and beers that were preserved were the ones that had tops or corks, champagnes, for example, where the surrounding pressure increased the pressure on the cork and maintained the contents. The beers were a Grosche type bottle with a lever on it. Again, the ceramic top was larger than the neck of the bottle, and that's what preserved the beers. No one wanted to sample the beers, though. They poured nice, they smelled nice, but we're so indoctrinated to freshness dated beer. No one wanted to try a 75-year-old beer, although it looked great. I think next time we go out, we're gonna do that. We're also gonna keep some sample yeast to brew our own. So
very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, but that was a problem in 87. We had a major salvage effort on the wreck, and the problem with that was I hired Canadian divers. Instead of going to the specie room, they go to the wine locker. What can you expect from Canadian divers? So,
damn Canadian divers. Yeah. So, here, before we get going, Bender, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a Rush Canadian Ale, preferred by Canadian divers.
Well, all right.
And Bob, what do you got? What are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking a beer from Maplewood Brewing, local Chicago brewery, one of my favorites, and it is called Juice Jorts. So it's pretty good beer. I'm enjoying it. Gonna get about a half a dozen of them in me tonight and see how this goes.
So Martin, in 5 minutes or less. in 5 minutes or less, can we do a, discovery of the Republic to where we are now? Because I think if the viewers want to know the story of the Republic, it's out there. There's certainly other podcasts and shows where you've gone into depth, and we'll kind of get into some of that, but there's a lot of stuff that I think we want to talk about, more to do with big TV shows and the future, how to move forward more so than what's going on in the past. So catch us up, and then we'll go at you with some hard hitting Talkin Tek questions.
Excellent. Basically, I started out when I went to Brooklyn College in the 1969 through 73 or so, 74. Brooklyn College, City University of New York in Brooklyn. I started out teaching scuba diving as an undergrad in what they called the experimental college program. And basically, any student can organize some course of instruction and promote it through the experimental college program, and you get your students. And it was very successful. I used the college's pool and classrooms, and it was very successful. It was so successful, in fact, that I then approached the adult education department at Brooklyn College, and they liked the concept, and I became an adjunct lecturer, which is a nice title for an undergrad. And that went over very well. And eventually, the college liked it so much that they decided to matriculate scuba diving, put it into the full matriculation classes. And I said to myself, "Wow, this is nice. I'm going to have a nice job." Except there's always politics in higher education, and someone's brother-in-law or some relative got the job as instructor. He'd never really done any scuba diving at all, but they put him in charge of the course, and eventually he got his instructors. So I naturally felt screwed, So what was I going to do? I started all this enthusiasm on the university, on the college campus. I started teaching in the adult education department, and I knew they were going to matriculate the class. So how do I make money on that? So I decided to open up my dive shop right around the corner from Brooklyn College, called Brooklyn Divers. It was on Avenue I and Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn, and I didn't have much to start out with. So what I did, actually used to raid. When I first started out, I used to raid one of my competitors out in Long Island. I used to raid their garbage. I used to take all their tank boxes and mask boxes and any boxes they had that they were throwing out, just so I'd have stuff that looks like it was on the shelf. And that's how I started. So my shop looked fully stocked, but really I had very little inventory. But the classes started to get successful. The business was very successful. I ended up buying the building, running charters out of Flatbush, all the shallow wrecks along Rockaway and Long Island. We used to run charters out of New Jersey on some of the Jersey boats. So it was for a 20-something-year-old kid, it was a really wonderful, wonderful lifestyle. I'd roll out of bed at my dive shop. I had my girlfriend living with me. I had an apartment in the back that I would rent out and open up the shop. Now, it was a very nice lifestyle. In 1976, a little history. A little history on the diving industry, and you guys probably know this. How did diving start out? Well, I mean, there was Sea Hunt on TV, and there were really when it started, all they had was the mail order houses, and they'd run an ad, buy your equipment, through the mail order house. They'd sell you the scuba tank, the double hose regulator, a mask, and they'd provide a little.
Anybody with
anyone.
Anybody that didn't really have a dive shop, they had a hardware store with a scuba compressor in the back, and they only had that because they were a diver themselves and they sort of needed to justify it and write it off, etc. So no, you're right. It's interesting how the business has sort of come full circle with the
so that's exactly right. So you would order your equipment from the mail order house. You'd read the pamphlet. Don't hold your breath. Drag your gear down to the beach, and you were scuba diving. And around that time, courses started out through YMCA. YMCA was the first organization to start teaching dive courses, and people were taking courses with YMCA. And then people said, "Well, why don't we open up a dive shop?" start making money on this. The little YMCA instructors opened dive shops, and their students would open dive shops, and it was a Wild West. There was a big demand. Sea Hunt created a nice demand. Everyone wanted to. Jacques Cousteau wanted to create a nice demand. So people were taking courses, and now we had the shop generating sales for the manufacturers. The manufacturers originally made their money through the mail order houses, but now the shops were generating customers because they were aggressively going out and saying, learn to scuba dive. We'll teach you how to scuba dive. And of course, since we're teaching, you might as well buy all your equipment from us. And another reason why you should buy all your equipment from us, because at the time they were called what they called fair trade laws. Fair trade laws were laws enacted by Congress to allow states to dictate at what retail price equipment could be sold. So everyone was holding the fair trade price, and that was designed to protect the mom and pop shops from the mega stores. Everyone was selling at the same price, so they figured the mom and pop shops would survive the mega stores. But in 1977, 78, Congress said, wait a minute, that's not capitalism. Capitalism, let the strongest survive. It drives the economy, the consumer benefits, you get innovation. And so the Congress, in its wisdom, outlawed fair trade laws. But that little signal didn't get down to the diving industry. The diving industry, all the mail order houses were still holding the retail price. All the dive shops were still holding the retail price. And I said, shit, there's an opportunity here. What I could do is run my full-page ad in Skin Diver magazine, which was the magazine of choice at the time, and ran my full-page ad for Divers Equipment Warehouse, DEW. Divers who do it better or do it for less. But in any event, I was a young kid, opened up my full-page ad in Skin Diver magazine, opened up another shop in Queens, near Queens College, called Divers Equipment Warehouse, and I was transshipping my diving equipment from Brooklyn Divers to Divers Equipment Warehouse, and we were the first ones in the diving industry to offer a toll-free watch line. Of course, that's very commonplace today, but no one had a toll-free watch line. So we offered a toll-free watch line. We said, call us with your price, the equipment you want, and we'll beat it. And since I knew what everyone was charging, all I had to do is undersell by, a few dollars here, a few dollars there, and I'd make the sale. And for a young kid, I was netting about $600 a day in 1978 or 79. And, that's maybe, two grand today or so. Not bad, not a bad income for a young kid. I was still running my dive shop. I was still running charters, still doing rentals. But I knew what would happen. The manufacturers got upset. U.S. Divers, Scuba Pro, Decor, they all got upset. They got a 6-hour meeting in California, and they decided to put me out of business because I figured out Brooklyn Divers was transshipping the Divers Equipment Warehouse. People would fill out their registration and warranty cards, and the manufacturers figured out who was providing Divers Equipment Warehouse with equipment. So they decided to cut me off from source of supply. And so I said, fuck them. Just like I said, fuck the college. I said, fuck them. I filed a $5 million antitrust and price fixing conspiracy suit, violations of the Sherman Antitrust Act. I didn't get $5 million, but I got $280,000, which was, I guess, about $800,000 or $900,000 today. We went to trial, and basically, I was sitting there at the plaintiff's table with my one little lawyer, and the opposite side had about 6 or 8 defendants and about a dozen or so lawyers. And here I am, this little young kid with his little lawyer taking on the whole industry. I sued NASDS was one of the defendants too, and the other side is watching me get little winks and nods from the jury because the jury liked the little kid taking on the big industry. And that's when they started to settle. Once one settled, so it was Poseidon. What was the company out of New Jersey? It was Poseidon. The Unisuit people. I forget they did Parkway Poseidon. That's right. They were one of the defendants. But in any event, once one started to fold, they all fell like a house of cards, and they all started making offers, and they ended up getting about $280,000. So at that point, I said, "What am I going to do now?" I already beat the diving industry. Of course, I can go back in the mail order business, but running a dive shop in New York, and you guys probably know the seasonality of running a dive shop.
Yeah,
Running a dive shop in New York in the winter is, Christmas time, you make your Christmas sales, you have little parties and what have you. But running a dive shop in the winter in New York was at that time not particularly profitable. So I said, what am I going to do? I said, well, I'm still a young guy. I said, let me see what I could do. So I looked at buying a diving resort down a little island called Saint Eustatius. It's called Statia down in the French West Indies. Beautiful island, volcanic island, black sand beach. And there was a place for sale at the time called Golden Rock Resort. So I flew down there, looked at it, and it was a beautiful resort. Problem with it was on the Atlantic side of the island. So the beaches were always getting the beaches. This is the second interview I have a dog in the background. I always get pets upstaging me.
Yeah, she's getting a little excited, but I'll mute it.
So let me finish the story. So the resort was on the Atlantic side, always rough, always garbage floating up on the beach. And I said, if it had been on the Caribbean side of the island, I'd probably be still running a Caribbean dive resort. What a wonderful life for a young man in his 20s. Running a dive shop in New York and running a Caribbean dive. But the Caribbean dive resort didn't pan out. I said, well, what else could I do? We used to run wreck charters. It's all you do in New York. I used to teach people how to wreck dive. I ran my own boat. And, of course, when you run your own boat and you're familiar with the diving area, you know the wrecks. You know the wrecks that are worked. You know the wrecks that people are looking for. And you have a feel for how to find wrecks. So I said, well, there's this big wreck out by the Andrea Doria someplace called the RMS Republic. And no one knew where it was. It wasn't on any chart. I did about 2 years of research on it. And I said, all right, I'm going to move the Martha's Vineyard. I closed up my shops in Brooklyn. I had 2 shops at the time. I didn't reopen the mail order house. And I moved the Martha's Vineyard, opened up a little shop opposite the Black Dog restaurant, which is, I think, the most famous restaurant, Martha's Vineyard. Right across the street from the Black Dog, called Martha's Vineyard Scuba Headquarters, Inc. And my landlord at the time, this is an interesting connection, my landlord at the time was a fellow by the name of Barry Clifford. Barry Clifford was a fellow who found the Witta, another pirate ship off of Cape Cod. Reportedly found the Witta. I won't get into that. That's another story. But in any event, he said, well, Marty, what are you doing up here? So I'm up here looking, I'm mobilizing to find the Republic. And, because he figured I couldn't make any money teaching diving on Martha's Vineyard because there are only 10,000 people. Once I exhaust the Type A personalities between the firemen and the policemen, all the Type A's that take up diving, I'd be out of business. I'd be out of customers to sell equipment to. But my purpose wasn't to make money on a dive shop. It was just the base of operations for the Republic. So I chartered Steve Belinda's boat, the Wahoo. This is, of course, I did about 2 years of research on where the Republic might be before I went out looking for. I also acquired a Westmar SS 500, which was then a new side scan sonar released to public access. Prior to that, it was a classified technology. So I had the technology, I had the boat, the Wahoo dove, took divers out to the Doria on a regular basis. And after 2.5 days, we went out to the first area where the government says the Republic is, and there's a PD on this chart. PD, of course, is position doubtful, and we did a side scan sonar of that area, and there's nothing there. And then we went to the secondary spot. The secondary spot was based on my research. I had the sinking locations from the 2 Coast Guard vessels involved in the sinking. One said it was here. The other one said it was here. They're about 6 miles apart, positions A and B. Both said the ship sank on a 40-fathom line. So we started out at position A, did a mowing the lawn along the 40-fathom line until we got to a big object, which is exactly midway between the 2 reported positions. She came up about 60 feet off the bottom. Her depth is 220 feet. She in the washout. Washout, of course, as you know, is where the current scours the wreck, scours the bottom next to the wreck and creates a depression. Usually on your bottom recorder, you used to run your boat, and all of a sudden you see a drop, and then all of a sudden the spike, and that's when you would, you run into the current, throw your hook, the old dive boat procedures. So we had 4 teams. The diving captain's team usually goes down first. So Janet Beisner, who was a part-time captain on the Wahoo, and Hank Keats, which her buddy went with the first team. I had another team of mine with a second team. They didn't make it to the bottom at all. They got freaked out at about 180 feet or so. Then I made the dive with my partner, Joe Martino, and we got down to the bottom. But this was the deepest that I had ever dived. I mean, we're diving twin 80s in a pony bottle on compressed air. So you know the narcotic effect of Martini's law: one dry martini on an empty stomach for every 50 feet of descent.
Yeah, but we trained for this, so we're prepared.
It's a matter of acclimation, exactly. But I had experience. All my dives up to that point were, I had a lot of dives down to 130 feet or 132 feet, which was, of course, the maximum safe depth for scuba at the time. People weren't mixed gas diving, or very few people were at the time. So we dove twin 80s in a pony bottle down to 240, and I said, well, I was narked, I said, of course, I had this euphoria, and I said, well, gee, I'm just going to start to swim off, see what I can find. And I said to myself, well, I better not do that. The little word said, you're aware of your own safety. It says, you have some experience, and that's what saves you from getting into trouble. But Janet, I found this out years later. Janet went off the line. She's had multiple experience on the Doria, so she was well suited and had experience at that. That she went off the line, went up to the bow, and actually took a picture of the bow. And I only found that out years later. One of the fellows who was on my 87 effort told me about it, and they actually written about it. But in any event, when I came up, Steve tells me, I think we had a 3.5 hour decompression of the old Navy exceptional exposure tables. And when I came up, Steve says, Marty, we got to cut the charter short. I got another charter on Friday. This was a Wednesday when we found the wreck, August 12th. I got to cut the charter short. No one told me that Janet had positively identified the wreck. Steve, cut the charter short. I had another day at charter. I had more tanks on the boat. We were ready to make a dive the following day. And so I got to cut the charter short. He didn't tell me what they had found. So we got in. You don't argue with the captain of the boat, as you know. It's his decision. I'm not going to say, no, you're wrong.
Damn right you don't argue with us.
That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, I ran my own boat too, so I know the routine. So I got a
question. Let me pull it up. Mike Apke wants to know, is he a Sutton acquaintance? The guy you're talking about. I don't know who Sutton is.
Here's a question.
Steve, who's an acquaintance of Sutton?
I'm just pulling up the question that was asked.
Actually, Sutton seems to ring a bell someplace, but I can't place it immediately unless you give me a reference.
I'm not sure. Mike, why don't you chime in and? We got Dave Sutton.
Dave Sutton. I know Dave Sutton's an acquaintance. Certainly, I don't know him well.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's an acquaintance.
That's too bad. I mean, that's good.
It's about to take a turn.
So in any case, I ended up filing on the wreck, and there's more backstory to that. But I think I covered most of this in other interviews.
Yeah. So it sounds pretty interesting. Getting out, finding the wreck, and let me ask you this: have you found any gold on it yet?
Well, I think we found a dime, 1907 dime.
You're almost
so far
to the $1 billion wreck, huh?
Yeah, that's right. I found a dime, but we had a major effort in 1987. I had at that time hired a naval architect to reconstruct the plans. You can't find the plans of this vessel anywhere, which is really no surprise. You can't find anything on this vessel. But in any event, I had him reconstruct the plans. He interested his brother-in-law, Dr. Robert Polakowicz, a prominent oncologist down in Tampa, who put together his friends, and they raised $2.35 million, which is, $6 million, $7 million today. And we went out in 87, and we got on site, and my naval architect, I won't mention any names, but everyone knows, my naval architect unrolled the plans that he reconstructed, and all he did is redraw the passenger accommodation plans. There was no specie room on there. There was no second-class baggage room on there. We didn't know where we were on the wreck, and I made a quick trip to the UK I was on ITV and the BBC Radio. We offered a 25,000 pound reward, which was $60,000 today for plans, because we needed those desperately, and no one came forward with the plans. So basically, based on his information, we moved forward of Hold 5, and we've since know with certainty now, because we have a lot more research. We've done a lot more plan construction. In fact, there's a report on one of my press releases describing exactly the area of the ship. We just did a side scan sonar of the vessel in July of this year, which confirms that the area that we are interested in, that the area that I've always been interested in, where the second-class baggage room is, remains unexplored, unexcavated, and that's our target area. So that's what we're doing in 2022. We're now in money-raising mode to finance that venture. It's not cheap working offshore with the type of equipment we need. We're going to be using saturation diving divers, no surface supply like we did in $1 Billion Wreck. That was crazy to do that. We had planned 21 dives. We only got 7 surface supplied dives, each dive about 30 to 40 minutes. And that's really why the show $1 Billion Wreck didn't succeed, because everyone wanted the underwater stuff. They were, and they were getting all this backstory, which no one was really interested in. And they didn't get the underwater film that they wanted to see. Yeah. So now we have a part of our budget as part of a filming budget too. So we're going to film everything, and we're going to go out and open the ship where the gold cargo should be. Second-class baggage room and specie room. We have the complete research reports attached to one of my press releases, so you can actually review my press release. You'll get some knowledge on where typical specie rooms were on the vessels of the period. The research is quite extensive. That's why we make it available. All my research is available. The research regarding the cargoes is available, primarily in my book, The Tsar's Treasure, available on Amazon.
So,
wait, I have a copy here.
We got a copy of the book, guys. Apparently, it's available on Amazon.
On Amazon.
So listen, everybody, go on Amazon right now. Order this fucking book. Buy the book from the guy. We got 24 people watching right now. So
oh shit! Fucking Cola still beat me out. I think he had 26. Fuck.
Well, that's okay. We'll really find out how many people watch this by give it a week.
Yeah.
And we usually get a couple thousand people who watch the show.
So you kind of hit on something there where you talked about the History Channel, because they really got into a lot of, not even backstory. The thing was about the Republic. It wasn't about people's personal problems. People tune into this show to hear about Bob and my personal problems, because we
because we are fucked.
Was the History Channel?
You don't have any fucking personal problems like I had personal problems. Boy, did I have personal problems. I always say you need the abyss to appreciate the mountaintop. You need adversity to appreciate triumph. You can't. Life is perfect in its imperfection. You need the tragedy, you need the heartache, you need the adversity to have the triumph, to have the success. And if you want a full ride, did I hear this? I think I may have heard this from one of you in Colas, or one of you guys said, but it's common in the diving community. If you want a full ride, you have to have the full experience. I mean, you're on a roller coaster ride, you want that down, and you want the up. That's why I always say life is perfect in its imperfection. So you have to have and it makes a story that much better. People.
I think the show's going to get good this towards the end here when we go to Fuck Off Friday. Martin, I feel like you're going to have somebody to tell. Just saying.
So is the was the History Channel making a TV show, or were they there to find gold?
They were making a TV show. That's their business. Their business is entertainment, and that's if they were into finding gold, I always say if they were smart, they budget me to recover the gold as an investor, and they make more money on the recovery than they would on any TV show that they ran. But that's their business. They don't invest in treasure hunts, and which really makes no sense. Are they in the business to make money? Ultimately, any business is in business to make money. But so they were in business to run a TV show. In fact, they couldn't spring. That's basically one reason they canceled. They couldn't spring for the necessary equipment that we needed. We didn't even have. If you guys run a boat, we were running nylon line at 240 feet. and we didn't have a winch. We didn't have a winch to work the anchor lines. There was no winch on the boat. There was no we didn't even have a crowbar. I run a charter on wrecks out of New Jersey, and all my guys have their mallets and their crowbars and all their custom-made tools, and we didn't have anything. It was a dog.
So let me ask you this: did you guys get History Channel to provide that boat?
Well, they covered a good deal of the expense, which is
Nice way to go.
Yeah, it was nice. I did it from the standpoint of I wanted the exposure. I knew we didn't have the fun. I told them we need a saturation diving boat out there, diving support vessel. We need a 12-man SAT system. We need a 140-ton crane. We need cutting tools, excavation tools. They couldn't provide the budget. So it's all right. If we get the audience, we can get the budget. If we hold the audience. And unfortunately, we didn't even get any. We got seven 30-minute dives. One bell run on a 6-hour bell run for 2 divers out the bell on a saturation diving system will accumulate 10 times the underwater footage than the entire season of $1 Billion Wreck. You guys dive wrecks. Wouldn't it be nice to be in SAT and you can fucking walk around the wreck for 6 hours at a clip? Talk about bottom time.
Yeah, there you go.
I guess my question I was going to say, is the History Channel really the History Channel anymore? Like it used to run, my grandfather used to watch the History Channel. I learned so much from it. And it seems like now they're too busy trying to find gold in Alaska and I don't know, just kind of fuck around and
they look for an audience, and they try to tell a story that will attract an audience. Now they did a decent background on our story, why the gold is on board, and they made a few minor errors, but generally it's okay. And in fact, we've conducted more research. Research is always ongoing. My book talks about a $3 million short-term loan, and we've identified that loan specifically. We identified the Russian State Bank acquiring funds to repay that loan 30 days later. It's a 30-day loan, $3 million. And that was always the rumored amount of money on the ship. If you go to our website, rms-republic.com, and you look at the section called the rumor or the legend, where I've accumulated all references to the Republic, everything out of treasure books, magazines, whatever I can find, is all located in one page on our website. And they all talk about $3 million, but they never talk about whose money was it? Why was it on the Republic? It was just $3 million. So we identified that as a 30-day short-term loan by the Russian State Bank. But we've since come into research in 2017 that $3 million, and I love this, that $3 million was only a part of an overall $25 million Russian State Bank shipment. That's 45 tons of newly minted double gold eagle coins. All right. The $3 million, you do the extrapolation, was $1 billion wreck. That was a problem with History Channel. They undervalued our project. It's really a $7 billion project. I anticipate that it will come in at $10 to $12 billion. This will be the largest recovery of gold in history from any shipwreck, bar none. And don't give me this San Jose bullshit, because if you run the numbers on the San Jose, which I have done, and I have a report on this on my LinkedIn profile that I wrote an article on it. What is the richest shipwreck in history? San Jose, on a highly inflated figure, will come in at $3 or $4 billion. And whose money is that? That's government money. It's an argument between Colombia and Spain on who owns that. So our recovery, incidentally, the U.S. government sued us. This is an interesting story. The U.S. government sued us saying we own all the gold on the Republic. Any gold you find is property of the U.S. government. And when they filed their claim in the 90s, I said, why are they saying they own all the gold? Because my research at the time only identified 2 cargoes. I identified a U.S. Navy cargo, $800,000 face value, mixed coin, a battleship fleet, the North Atlantic battleship fleet known as the Great White Fleet was then at Gibraltar. Republic was going to Gibraltar. $800,000 was requested by the battleship fleet, and that's going to have a value between $150 and $340 million today. Not a bad haul by itself. But, you're talking 45 tons of double eagles for the Russian State Bank. Where was it going? Gibraltar. What do we find at Gibraltar at the time? We find the Russian Baltic Fleet at Gibraltar. waiting for this gold. So that was a transshipment point. And that's why here's why the U.S. government claimed all the gold. Right. My original research says Navy cargo, Russian gold. And I didn't know whether the Russian gold belonged to the Russians or the French bankers who were floating the bond, depending on the sequence of title. But we've since found out that when the Bolsheviks seized power in 1917, they repudiated all Tsarist debt. So the bonds that were sold in New York for this $25 million was $25 million in bonds, sold at a discount, $22 million, and $3 million short-term loan. That's where the $3 million come in. The money sold, once the Bolsheviks repudiated the Tsarist debt, what did the U.S. government do? The U.S. government reissued U.S. bonds and assumed the Russian bond obligation. That's why the U.S. government said they owned all the gold, because they had a subrogated interest. But the problem with their claim, we since have them dismissed with prejudice, the problem with their claim is that in 1933, when we recognized the Soviet Union, the U.S. government took that money out of seized Tsarist assets. They paid themselves already. And since they paid themselves already, they can't double dip into the gold on Republic. They could get the Navy money, but they just didn't want to deal with the hassle of the Russian gold. It would have been too much of a problem for them. So anyway, the DOJ filed an intervention. They claim they own all the gold. After 10 years of litigating with the Department of Justice, we defeated them in the courts, and we now own the RMS Republic. We own the cargoes. We own everything within a mile of the Republic's coordinates. So if something's dragged off the wreck, we still own it. It's I'm one of the few people that owns a sovereign cargo, because, as you know, this old story with Spanish wrecks and the Spanish guys. Oh, what was it? The Civil War gold that's supposedly in a train car in one of the lakes up there where you guys are. That's Confederate States of America money. Confederate States of America money. Who's the successor interest in that if they find it? The U.S. government. That's U.S. government property. There's no way anyone finding a Confederate States payroll will own it. Same with Spanish galleons now. Spanish galleons, if you find them down in the Caribbean, Spanish government's going to come and say that's a sovereign cargo and a sovereign ship. We own it. You're tough luck. The days of wild treasure hunting in Spanish galleons in the Caribbean are over, which is a shame, because all the recoveries and discoveries are done by private entrepreneurs. You have essentially the socialization, the communism of salvage, where the state says it owns all the property that's lost off our shores, and you're depriving the initiative to go out and find the wrecks and work the wrecks.
So, Martin, I mean, it's been great chatting with you here, but we got a few parts of our show we got to get to. One of them, I think, Bender, 20 questions we ask our guest.
Yeah. Well, you want to do 20
more questions?
Well, I got a few more questions, but 20 questions to get us started. But should we do a shot first, or do we want to?
Yeah. So, Martin, I don't know if you've watched at least one of the episodes, and you still agreed to come on. So we're very pleased with that. This is the point in the show when we all stop.
That's what I was going to use my Kohler quote. I said, "Shut up! Kohler only had 26 people. I have whatever. I finally beat Kohler." Huh?
You're 26 viewers right now.
Oh, I'm tired with Kohler. His TV show did much better than mine. I'll admit that. So,
guys,
but
I've set up my little workspace a little bit better this time. All I have to do is turn here, and I got my Lickermans, and I am all set. I'll be on the Lickermans. But unfortunately, I need to go grab my shot glass. So give me just a moment.
We're doing shots. Okay, let's see what I got here.
Oh, it's cover my eyes.
All right, guys, I'm back. I had to get my shot glass.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to find a shot glass now. Hold on.
Find a shot glass. So, everybody, this is, once again,
Shot glass.
These fuckers aren't calling us back. They're supposed to be sponsoring our show. So they're our unofficial sponsor for now. We got Lickermans.
It's like hand sanitizer for your insides.
It is. It's just like hand sanitizer for your insides. You're right. You are right. All right. Well, we're waiting on Martin to come back. Might have to have two shots for this show. See how it's going. We're going to get to 20 questions. And I think we're also going to get to some random scuba agencies quiz questions. We're going to ask Martin one of those and see how that goes over. So I can't say which agency, but I got the test.
I'm back.
In front of me. All right, welcome back, Martin. What are you drinking?
I'm just gonna have a shot of Captain Morgan. So
there you go.
Rum. I'm the standard rummy. Rum does well by me.
That's spoken like a true sailor. All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Wow.
That's good.
Bob,
Yeah.
it doesn't get better with age, man. It doesn't.
No, but I got more and more of it. I'll just give a little shout out right now. Big T hooked me up with another bottle and a bottle of Proper 12. Thank you, sir. Big T, you came through once again on my visit to Canada. And for all the viewers who watched that show, I think we need to apologize for what a disaster that was, but we had a good time. So too bad. Fuck you if you didn't like it.
Hey, my ears are burning here.
That's the way she goes.
Okay, Martin. So we've changed it up a little bit. We've amended for season 3 of Talkin Tek. The Talkin Tek 20 questions have evolved a little bit. There's some familiar ones. There's some new ones. So are you ready? I'm going to hit you. It's a speed round.
So hold on,
Talkin Tek
before you
20
get
questions.
started, since we're on 20 questions, guys, we just put a post up on our Facebook page looking for some other questions that we can ask. Go ahead and throw some in the comments, and maybe we'll use them in future shows. We're looking to update our 20 questions list.
Before you jump ahead, too, you got to put things in perspective. I'm probably old enough to be your fathers.
That's okay.
I mean, my perspective is entirely different. I have no tech experience. I mean, I'm familiar with saturation diving, but I have no tech experience at all.
That's okay. These questions are very simple.
Well, that's good.
Okay, are you ready, Martin?
Yes.
All right, gas.
Bender, yeah. Oh, diesel. Nothing like smell of diesel in the morning, to paraphrase Apocalypse Now.
Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic?
I'm going to say Virgin Galactic. I like Branson as more of an entrepreneur than Bezos. I mean, his looks like a big phallus.
He's flying around in a giant top.
I mean, particularly when the tip comes off, you know, I mean.
All right, coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee all the way. At my dive shop, we always had a pot of coffee from the time we opened to the time we closed, and it was a social setting. You know, dive shops, people come in to socialize. Coffee all the way. That's why my hair is still dark. I think coffee is an antioxidant, and I drink tons of fucking coffee.
There you go.
So,
GUE or TDI?
out of my perspective,
All right.
those are what tech diving groups, right?
Yeah, sort of. They're both shit.
Yeah.
Beer or wine?
Well, that depends. You know, I like beer. I like wine. It depends on what I'm eating. You know, if I'm having a nice steak, a nice beer would go with a nice steak. If I'm having fish, or you know, at a French restaurant, I have a nice little honey with me and a nice bottle of wine. So,
All right. Top or bottom?
oh, I'd say top. Definitely a dominant.
Open circuit or closed?
Well, I'm only familiar with open circuit, so.
Okay. Computer or tables?
Well, I'm only familiar with tables, so.
All right. Power or sail?
I've just recently taken up sail, and I enjoy it a lot. We used to go down to the Caribbean. I used to charter a boat, a nice catamaran for a week, sailing the Caribbean. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Nice, quiet, and you get around. I like, of course, I run a power boat, you know, most of my life, but as sailors call them stink pots, but definitely sail at this point. I find it more enjoyable.
All right. I'm not sure this might be out of your realm, but better photographer, Hefe or Becky?
Out of my area, but I'll take any photographer who actually tell them to send me their resumes. we'll have to put him on the boat.
Just to set the record straight, Hefe is the only real photographer. He's the best.
Yeah, he's got a really good camera. Rust or wood?
I'd say rust.
All right. Back mount or side mount?
Out of area of expertise.
All right. This is the most
But
controversial.
I'd say based on my expertise, back mount, of
I
course.
know what question's coming. I'm not liking it, and I'm not ready for it tonight.
Bobby, are you ready for this? You better have stuff queued up.
I don't have anything queued up for this.
Hold on a second. Just hold on. I'll get it
He's
queued
gonna
up.
pull it up. Hey, fuck
Yeah.
you.
So it's been a pretty eventful week for my man. So I'm counting on you here. All right. So better captain. Captain Picard or Captain Kirk?
Oh, Kirk.
Fuck that. You know he's Canadian.
Yes, of course. He's also, as Carla pointed out, but I knew this anyway, he's also Jewish.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, it's the old school. It's like asking who's the better Bond. You know, Connery or any of his successors. Connery is the quintessential Bond. It's the same thing. Kirk was the first Star Trek captain. Actually, there was one guy before him, but who remembers his name?
It's funny, Martin, because we were working on the 20 questions and the Bond one came up, whether it was going to be Connery or what's the other Bond, Daniel Craig, because it's either Connery or Craig. The rest,
Craig is good. Craig is good. Yeah, I have to make
shit. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So,
but Connery of course, Connery's deceased now, but he got a lot of poon in his time.
There you go.
Salt or fresh?
Salt.
Rex or Caves? We know this one.
Rex, of course.
Johnny Cash or Elton John?
Johnny Cash.
Ginger or Marianne?
Ooh, I'd say Marianne would be more fun.
Deep Air or Trimix?
Well, it's out of my area of expertise, but based on what I know, I'd say Trimix, but
Okay.
for deeper diving.
Go pill or no go pill?
Unfamiliar, out of my area of expertise.
All right. And this one is going to we're going to mix this up.
If you ask me about blue pill, you know.
So, guys, this one we're going to mix up over the season as we have different guests on, but I figured these ones would be appropriate. So, talking about movies, it's going to be The Deep or The Abyss.
Oh, The Deep. I mean, Bissett was. In fact, I dove the Rhone down in Salt and Pepper Island or something like that. Bissett was spectacular in that, you know, and of course it's a treasure movie also. But Jackie Bissett in her prime. Oh, the Spinnaker regulator that she's using, the very small one. I was the first importer of that regulator into the United States. It's called we were importing the Spinnaker X. It was a servo-designed regulator, which was vast superior to the downstream designs of the regulators in the U.S. And we marketed that around the time they closed up my shop. I said, fuck them, I'm going to import my own regulator. And that was one of the regulators that we were promoting at the time.
Very cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Talkin Tek 20 questions for the 15th of October, 2021. Martin, I got a question for you. I don't think anybody's ever asked because everybody is so skeptical about whether or not there really is gold there. So let's assume there's gold there. What are you going to do when you are rich beyond all imagination? What are you going to do with that money?
You know, Diane Sawyer, when I did an interview for CBS Morning News, Diane Sawyer, it's on YouTube. She asked me the very same question, and my answer basically is pretty much the same. I'm going to live the life to which I'm unaccustomed.
There you go. There you go. I think my answer would be anything I want.
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt my entire life with poor person's problems. Money doesn't do away with problems. It just gives you a different set of problems. So I think that a rich person's problems will be more interesting, and will certainly won't be as boring as poor person's problems.
Well,
so
Kevin O'Leary once said, money won't make you happy, but it'll make being miserable a whole lot more fun.
That's right. In fact, I use that all the time. I say, if you have to be unhappy, much better to be unhappy with money than without money. If you have to cry, better to cry in your Bentley than to cry on your bicycle. So.
And like that, we're running into the end of the show here. So, Bob, it's Friday. It's the first Friday Talkin Tek we've had in a long time. People got pent up frustration and such. So, Bob, you got to have somebody that needs to be told.
You know, Ben, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I've been thinking about this most of the day today. I don't got anybody that needs to be told. I really don't. You know, I'm very happy. I got good news today when I checked the news reports that November 8th, my Canadian friends can drive across the fucking border again. So I'm happy about that because, I mean, that was just fucking ridiculous.
But only the ones that are vaccinated.
Well, that's okay. Get them vaccinated. Then they can come over and visit. I'm good with that. Come on over, you know. I thought it was kind of fucked up that I could drive over there, but you guys couldn't come here. So, you know, I think this might be a first where I don't have anybody. You know, I'm guessing by tomorrow I'll have somebody for sure. But right now, I think I'm good. How about you, Bender?
Well, Bob, it's good that you don't have anybody because I got two, and I was having a hard time picking, and I was only going to use one.
Use both. You can use mine.
Thank you. What a great friend. So, the first one is anybody who would block a boat ramp in downtown Tobermory on a long weekend.
All right, what kind of fucking asshole would block a boat ramp
on Sunday of the Canadian Thanksgiving,
especially on Sunday on a weekend in Tobermory? Fuck that guy.
So that's the first one, and I think we can all agree on this one. A buddy of mine, he just flew back from Saba with a fucking staph infection. It's
French West Indies, Saba. Yeah.
Yeah, and anybody who would shorten a fucking hose clamp, you can fuck right off.
There you go. There you go, Martin.
Really.
We're at the end of the show, and
we know
every Friday we like to tell somebody, you know, throughout your week, month, or whatever, who just needs to be told to fuck right off. So I'm guessing you probably
no, actually, no. I'm sort of between girlfriends right now, but not in the sense that I normally was between girlfriends. So I mean that's my only situation now. But as I said, I'm sure that will change rather dramatically as my fortunes change. But that's to be expected. So really, I'm a very forgiving person generally. So I'm sure all my ex-girlfriends will be knocking on my door quite soon. As I typically do, as I'm on the upswing as opposed to on the downswing. So
there you go. There you go. All right, Bender, what else you got?
I think I made it through all the questions. I got 20 questions done. I got what are you going to do with all the money?
I think we got through everything we had. I think we had a pretty good interview here. Listen,
Martin, thank you for coming on. I've enjoyed arguing it with you, and what I can appreciate about you is that you'll troll the comment section on the History Channel and you'll interact with people. You don't put yourself on a pedestal now that you're a big shot with a TV show, and that's pretty fucking cool. So I appreciate you coming on our shitty little show. And
as I said, I have my moments like everyone else does. So
we've all had our moments.
Yeah.
So all right, guys, I think it was a good show. Martin, I think we probably sold, I don't know, 24, 25 books for you.
Hold that book up one more time. Available
like
on
I
Amazon.
told you.
Available
on
Amazon.
There you go. The Czar's Treasure. Get online, order it fucking now. He'll know. So just do it.
Oh, wait. Let me get a plug in. We're raising money. LordsOfFortune.com. Or we have a small offering, WeFunder.com. Simply do a search for treasure on their site. WeFunder, WeFunder, or Lords of Fortune. Lords of Fortune, where's my shirt here? Oh, LordsOfFortune.com. Oh, there it is.
All right, guys, go to Lords of Fortune and give this guy some money. He needs to go pull his billions out of the water. So
And
Exactly.
Martin, we need a commitment right now, legally binding. Forget the whole thing that started the show with the disclaimer. When you're a billionaire, we want to have you back on the show. But in your fucking Game of Thrones fucking
Well, from your lips to God's ears. That's right. Let's hope that happens.
all right.
right.
So you're agreeing to this now. You'll be back on the show when you pull your billions out of the water.
Yeah, I'll be back. Sure.
All right.
But wait. I did go to law school for a period of time, incidentally, and there's offer acceptance. But what's the consideration? You have to give me something for that promise to have a binding contract.
We
The
will
honor
send
of
you
being
a
on
bottle
our
of
show.
liquor. We will send
There we
you a bottle
go.
of
There we go. Perfect.
old
Perfect.
Canadian whiskey.
There you go.
Perfect.
There you go. All right,
The
guys.
finest
Listen,
export of Canada. Thanks a lot, guys, everybody, for watching. Great show.
everybody
It was-
watching, good show. You can all go fuck yourselves and stay tuned on the Facebook. Oh, one more thing I want to add. You motherfuckers need to go online and follow our YouTube channel. I don't care if you watch it on there, just follow it and like some of this shit. It helps us out. So go ahead and do that. And we'll see you possibly next week. Stay tuned to watch for the updates of our next show. But it's going to be probably next week, maybe in 2 weeks. All right? Fuck you, everybody.
Bob
Thanks for
Bender.
watching.